Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Going to be talking today about the future, about the new era of Thomas Tuchel as Chelsea's head coach. Another guy comes in, another new reign. How long will this one last? We're not entirely sure. We know he's probably going to get about an 18-month contract, which I think sounds about right. He may even still get a payoff by that, given Chelsea's recent record with managers. It's interesting with Tuchel because he has been linked to the job previously, even as far back as 2017. I spoke about that on the channel recently. In this video, I just want to go through a great piece by Raphael Honigstein in The Athletic, a profile piece, going into who Tuchel is, his career, what he's done, the style of play, what he may bring to Chelsea, what he can improve within Chelsea after recent struggles, but also some of the cons too, some of the red flags, some things that I feel could cause friction, at least for Tuchel in the short and long term at Chelsea whilst he's here. But before we get into any of that good stuff, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also, hit that like button if you're enjoying the content because it helps out the channel as well. But what's interesting to me is looking at Tuchel and where he comes from, sort of the school of Ralf Rangnick, who was offered the interim job for Chelsea. And these reports coming out from The Athletic recently that Chelsea were desperate. They sort of really wanted a German-speaking coach. And you look at Tuchel, you look at the history of him, where he's come from, Stuttgart, the youth academy there, coaching there, where he came up and eventually went to Mainz to replace Jurgen Klopp. And sort of the school of Jurgen Klopp, sort of the school of Rangnick, and you look at Nagelsmann now too, and that style of management and that style of coaching that's become very popular in European football and become quite trendy. And clearly Chelsea believe they can bring something with Tuchel to Chelsea that hopefully can improve the fortunes of the first team. This is a brilliant piece by Raphael Honigstein in The Athletic, Athletic's German correspondent, and absolutely goes in detail of who Tuchel is as a person. As you can see here, the title, Chelsea's combustible genius who made defenders train holding tennis balls. Honigstein details that at Mainz, Tuchel quickly made a name for himself with sophisticated attacking football, taking one of the smallest and poorest top flight sides' annual budget of 15 million euros into the Europa League twice. During his 5 years at Mainz, only the big four, Bayern Munich, Schalke, Borussia Dortmund and Bayer Leverkusen, amassed more points than him. Tuchel had even bettered the record of club icon Jurgen Klopp. At Borussia Dortmund, Tuchel had his men play on pitches with no width or no depth. He made them take extra touches with their knees or had defenders clutch tennis balls to stop them grappling with defenders. Once, when he wanted them to play more vertically in attack, he cut off corners to turn the final third into a triangle. It was all done to make training so difficult and mentally exhausting that the actual game felt easy in comparison. The team played wonderful free-flowing possession-based football in his first season, coming closer to anyone to threaten Guardiola's Bundesliga dominance. Tuchel had raised a side that had looked tired after 7 years under Klopp to new heights. He said, "My role is that of a service provider. I'm here to help and support the players," he explained, adding that football was a player's game. He saw himself, to use a Wengerism, as a facilitator of talent. And then he moves on to PSG, of course, his last job where he was sacked before Christmas. And this is for me where the red flags start to show. There are a couple at Borussia Dortmund in this piece that do worry me. Firstly, the idea that he wasn't that sort of affectionate or welcoming to supporters at Borussia Dortmund, according to people at Dortmund. Once again, two sides to every story, which leads me to think about Maurizio Sarri and his problems at Chelsea, connecting with the Chelsea match-going support, but also the internal politics. And if you watched my video earlier today about Frank Lampard and why he was sacked as Chelsea manager, there's a lot of internal politics going on at Chelsea, and you do wonder whether someone like Tuchel, who's already had issues at PSG and even Dortmund, can deal with that at Chelsea Football Club. The warning signs are there for me. A temperamental figure, clashes with the hierarchy, has unique training methods that tired some players. We heard about that under Frank Lampard. Also clashed with supporters at Dortmund. If I wanted to sort of put the antithesis of a Chelsea coach, or someone who I felt could trigger all the right or wrong buttons to get himself sacked at Chelsea Football Club, I think Thomas Tuchel would be the name. And that's not based on his own coaching ability. That's not me saying he's going to be an absolute failure at Chelsea Football Club. He could win us some big trophies. My point is, I can see this ending terribly, like I saw Antonio Conte end terribly, like I saw Jose Mourinho. Despite being very good coaches who brought success, short-term success to Chelsea, you can see this blowing up very quickly. And that's my concern. And I feel that Tuchel, it's just, I'd urge you to not only read Raphael Honigstein's piece, read that firstly, read the piece about Frank Lampard and why he got sacked. Read those two pieces. I think they show you sort of the conflicts at the moment with decision making at Chelsea, and going for a manager who for me almost summarizes everything that seems to trigger and annoy the Chelsea hierarchy. A coach who actually has his own ideas, that will push back, that will have the ideas of where he wants to take this team, that does want to play progressive football, that does take a bit of time to implement. It just sounds, doesn't it, like a disaster's happened. I mean, I hate to sort of put doom and gloom and everything and be really pessimistic, but I see the warning signs there. And once again, this is not on Tuchel. I really hope he's a big success at Chelsea. I also want to pick out The Edge by Ben Littleton, a really good book that I suggest you go and read just generally. It talks to a lot of great people within football in terms of leadership, in terms of mentality. There's one brilliant chapter in the book interviewing Thomas Tuchel when he was at Borussia Dortmund. It talks about his mindset, being a rule breaker, his work coaching Ousmane Dembele too. I felt that was really interesting and insightful. So if you want to learn more about Thomas Tuchel and his mindset, I think that's a really good book to go and read. So I suggest that. And Honigstein references the book and that chapter in his piece. He says that every club has a spirit. He was quoted in Littleton's excellent book, Edge. There are certain clubs like Ajax, Barcelona, Arsenal, AC Milan who like an aesthetic game. It's not only about winning, but how you win and how you play. Others like Chelsea now or Atletico Madrid are more win at all costs. Each club has a charisma and an aura. Tottenham Hotspur, for example, is like Borussia Dortmund. They take risks. They like excitement. My philosophy is an aesthetic one. Aesthetic means control the ball, the rhythm to attack in every minute and try to score as many goals as possible. He was then asked whether he would take a job at win at all cost clubs. Tuchel replied that he too wanted to win, of course, but he added that he might harbour doubts over such an engagement if his employer's uncompromising demands stood in conflict with his footballing convictions. He said, I have to be honest with myself and ask if I'm the right person with the right character and the right approach for this club to make the people happy, or is it so much against me that I'd better say, guys, we will have a misunderstanding here. But the clubs themselves should be aware of what they stand for. I mean, it just sounds the antithesis of Chelsea Football Club. Now, we do have to point this out that these quotes were made before he arrived at PSG, right? And you look at the comparisons and similarities you can make between PSG and Chelsea. You know, clearly he made that choice to go to PSG and he was quite successful. The stats around Thomas Tuchel at PSG are really impressive in terms of win percentage, in terms of what he won with PSG, taking them to their first Champions League final and getting really close to winning the big trophy last season. So there is things to be impressed by, but once again, I think you need to take that into consideration when we're discussing Thomas Tuchel, when we're looking at what he can bring to Chelsea Football Club, but also dealing with the culture at Chelsea, the deep-rooted culture at Chelsea that has caused many coaches problems over the years. But in terms of style of play, it's going to be interesting how he adapts to this Chelsea squad, at least for the short term, and dealing with the short term sort of mindset of Chelsea Football Club. This is the conflict Chelsea managers have of trying to instill their style of play and trying to develop it over a period of time, especially more advanced attack-minded style of play, but also knowing they're under immense pressure and scrutiny from the board, from fans, to get instant results, and the conflict there that they may become a bit more reactive and a bit more pragmatic in the face of that, which could jeopardize their sort of overall plan in implementing their style to Chelsea Football Club. He's played 3-5-2, he's played 4-4-2 at times when a situation needs it, so he seems like quite a flexible coach that can adapt to the opponent who we're facing. So you may see one week a 4-3-3, which could be his predominant formation, but then he moves over to say a 3-5-2 or a 4-4-2, maybe something more defensive when we need to counter-attack a team that have a lot of attacking intent. We'll have to see. I do get the sense when I'm reading about Tuchel, he isn't someone like Maurizio Sarri who has such a set way of playing that he's going to come in and he's drilling that plan A and he's not moving away from it. It seems Tuchel, a bit like more say younger modern coaches, are a lot more flexible in the way they approach sort of systems and formations. I also think about the current squad. He does have history of Christian Pulisic, gave Christian Pulisic his debut at Borussia Dortmund. Is he going to be one of those players that consistently features under Tuchel? You know, Pulisic had an amazing season last year under Frank Lampard, but has struggled this year, and you want to get Pulisic back to his best because he is such an astonishing talent, and you wonder if Tuchel can unlock that talent once again at the bridge this season. Of course, got to mention as well Kai Havertz and Timo Werner. How will Tuchel try and maximise and get the best out of two players who have struggled so far this season? Chelsea invested a lot on these two Germans, and Chelsea will want to get the best out of them after signing him. So can Werner and Havertz flourish under new management in Thomas Tuchel? And will fringe players who've been outcast under Lampard recently get more opportunities? The likes of Antonio Rudiger, Marcus Alonso, Jorginho, even Mateo Kovacic at times. You wonder, will these players players now get back into the fray and have another chance to get into the first team at Chelsea? We'll have to wait and see. And also the young players, what will happen to them? Thomas Tuchel does have a good record of developing young players, but you wonder with that short-term pressure that he has, will we go for more experienced talent over younger heads like Lampard did? I worry for the likes of Mason Mount, who's been brilliant this season, one of Chelsea's best players, Reece James, Tammy Abraham, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Billy Gilmore, other players too that are coming through the academy. I just wonder what's going to happen to them, and I really hope they get the opportunities they deserve, because I think they've been some of Chelsea's most consistent and strong performers this year. Hopefully Tuchel can implement some of that into his first team. But those are my opinions. As I say, we're going to have to wait and see what Thomas Tuchel can bring to Chelsea Football Club. Let me know your feelings and thoughts on this appointment. What do you think Tuchel can bring to Chelsea Football Club? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea. Have a great day, and I'll see you again